Hello and welcome to an episode 155 of the Nintendo Fun Club podcast. This is a podcast about Nintendo and about fun. I'm Ryan, and joining me once again is John.
Good morning.
And this is a very special episode because we are less than 1 week away from the release of the next film in the Star Wars saga, The Last Jedi.
Hey, Ryan, you're absolutely right about that, and it's so exciting. But wrong podcast, bro. Wrong podcast. This is Nintendo Fun Club.
I totally said that too.
Yeah, I think you're mixing it up with our Star Wars podcast, the Blockade Runner podcast, which you can find at blockaderunnerpodcast.com. You can follow on Twitter at Blockade Run, and you can check out for all that pre and post Last Jedi excitement. So yeah, wrong podcast, man.
Oh, okay. So, like, if people are stoked about Last Jedi, like, are there some like recent episodes of the Blockade Runner podcast they could listen to beforehand?
Oh yeah. In fact, we released an episode just last weekend, which features our final predictions going into The Last Jedi. Our last attempt at some speculation about the movie. We talk about Star Wars Christmas stuff too, so it's actually a super fun episode. I think it's one of the best we've done in a while, and it's definitely a good thing to listen to this week as you are getting stoked for The Last Jedi.
Okay, and do you think there'll be like some Last Jedi related episodes after the movie comes out?
I think that for sure there will be. In fact, I would guess you could check your podcast feed as early as Friday morning for Last Jedi episodes, and probably another episode featuring yours truly, not my truly, but your truly.
My truly.
Your truly. Featuring you next weekend for sure. So
nice.
Yeah. Yes.
Cool. Well, yeah, look forward to that, and definitely check out the Blockade Runner podcast.
Yeah. Hey Ryan, it's a beautiful Saturday morning. I've got a little bit of Rockford here has been dusted with snow. Has there been any snow? Have you been dusted with any snow out there in Denver?
No, we've got a little bit of ice. That's about it in Denver right now. Some ice.
Scenic. Well, I was just, I'm thinking like it's a beautiful morning, and we're up bright and early to record our podcast. Any chance that you've started the day out right with some Super Mario cereal this morning at all, or?
No, because cereal's disgusting, and I would never eat it.
What? As a snack dude, I can't believe this. Like, you're all about snacks.
I straight up hate cereal. I think it's so gross.
Oh wow. Okay. Not the reaction I was expecting, but I do think it's pretty awesome that there's Super Mario cereal coming around. Are you going to pick up a box at least for like collectors' sake?
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I will pick up a box. I will pull the bag of the cereal out, keep it completely sealed, and dispose of that, and then put the box on my Amiibo shelf.
Okay, all right, yeah, because of course the cereal box does have an Amiibo card in there somehow, somewhere. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, I don't think I'll be eating it either because it has like marshmallows in it. Like I like cereal, but I like Mueslix and stuff like that. Crispix. I like Crispix.
Wow. Are you my grandpa?
I like Kashi Good Friends, if you've ever had that one.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, and I can't go for marshmallows, but I'm definitely going to get some. I'm excited about it. I think it's cool. So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Lindsay will eat it. I don't know. I don't think we've ever had cereal in our house. I don't think she's like a fan either. But she might be. I don't know. Cereal just grosses me out so much. And it also like doesn't help that I like work at an elementary school, and we serve cereal like every day in the morning, and it just gets everywhere, and it's always like just like a gross mess, and it gets stepped on and ground in. It's
so what do you eat for breakfast?
I love breakfast
Bagels?
bars.
Oh, breakfast bars. Okay.
Yeah.
How about smoothies? You ever do smoothies?
No, That's too much work.
All right.
Yeah. Oh, we have a magic bullet, but I don't ever do anything with it.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Well, let's jump into the news, huh?
Oh yeah. So yeah, this is actually a very special episode of the Nintendo Fun Club podcast because it's a very, very good time to be a Nintendo fan and specifically a Nintendo Switch owner because there are like a million games out and like a million more coming. So that's kind of going to be the theme of this episode is just we're going to start by talking about some of the recent announcements for Switch and then we're going to get into some recent games that have come out on the system. And I have been playing my Switch a ton, and I feel completely overloaded with stuff to play right now on it. So it's exciting and weird as a Nintendo fan.
Yeah.
It's a weird feeling, but I like it. So let's go ahead and start with the news. We have some release dates. We've got Ukulele coming to Switch on December 14th, coming to the eShop. And this, as you know, is the like Banjo-Kazooie spiritual successor developed by ex-Rare folks over at Playtonic. I'm super stoked for this game. Like I like Rare a lot. I've really kind of come back around on like the Banjo games and some of their like 3D platformer stuff in recent years, and I've kind of come to appreciate their work a bit more. So I'm really stoked for this game. I actually played it at launch on when it came out originally on. I played it on Xbox One, and I dug it. Like I thought the music was great and it was fun exploring the levels and collecting stuff and all that. But like about like 2 hours into the game, I was like, I really just would rather play this on Switch. Like I want to wait for the Switch version. So I actually sold my disc like a day after I bought it, and I was like, no, I'm saving myself for Switch. So I'm really really excited about this, and it's awesome that it's coming really soon, the same day as I'm going to be seeing The Last Jedi, so I probably won't be playing it right away, but it will be a fun game to play over winter break, and it's going to be like they've been tweaking it and patching it and improving a lot of stuff with the game. So like the Switch version will be apparently like a better game than what I played on Xbox One back in the day, or back a few months ago. Not necessarily back in the day.
Yeah, I think I remember the reception to Ukulele being a little lukewarm in comparison to like how pumped people were initially when it was announced and stuff. So, but it sounds like maybe some of that had to do with like performance and some of the things that have been tweaked a little bit, and then also I feel like, yeah, I guess I just feel like the game kind of didn't make the splash that kind of a lot of people expected it might, but Switch is a good platform for it to have a second act and maybe kind of get some more find an audience, I guess, find more people that'll be kind of excited for it.
Yeah, I think it will. I think so. All right, another announcement here is that I actually don't know how to say this. Fury.
I would think Fury, right? Like, because it's a fighting thing. No, Fury.
Yeah.
Just like Fury. It's cute when you
Fury
spell something the wrong way. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Extreme.
Yeah.
No, Fury, which is like essentially kind of like in a arena boss battle game, I guess. That's coming to Switch, and this game, I kind of threw it in here because I know it was really well received by a lot of our friends when it launched on like PS4 uh, a while ago. I think, yeah, it must have been a PlayStation Plus game because I played it for like 10 minutes and I was like, oh, this seems cool. And that was like about it. Because I always try out like the PS Plus games and then never really play them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think on Switch this could be really cool. It is like a hardcore action game. It apparently like really taps into like just really really good boss designs. And where you have to be like looking for patterns and you know using a lot of agility and I don't know. It's apparently a really cool game. So I think I'm stoked it's coming to Switch.
Yeah, I think it's cool. It's coming to Switch. I'm not sure. Like for me, it seems like to be obviously like a very kinetic, like fast paced, like action game type thing,
Mhm.
almost like your Bayonetta style game, or your Platinum style action games and stuff. I mean, different than that too, since it's like basically like boss fight, like you
Mhm.
know, that's essentially what the game is. But yeah, that's just not really my style of game. Although I think the visual presentation is really intriguing, and I watched the trailer and I was like, yeah, that's cool. Do you know how much it is? Do you know how much it costs?
Um,
I'm
I
assuming
actually have
it's like a
no.
$10 to $20 game. I don't know.
I would probably say closer to 20 would
Okay.
be my guess. Being because it is pretty visually impressive. Like it's
Hmm.
not like an 8-bit
Yeah.
style game, but I mean, I guess with like the scope being somewhat limited, I would say probably
Yeah,
20
20
is
makes
my guess.
20 makes sense. So it's a little bit out of my like, well, I'll just take a shot on it range, you know what I mean, at 20
Yeah.
bucks, but I don't know. I'll think about it. It looks pretty interesting, pretty cool. And I have seen some interest in it from a couple of our friends who have switched to like talking about it. So
Mm,
yeah, it seems like it's on some people's radar, so that's cool as well.
yeah.
Um,
Something that is definitely on both of our radar.
yeah. The news story here today that I'm most excited about, and one that has been a long time coming, is that Mega Man 11 and pretty much every other Mega Man game is coming to Switch, which rules. So I guess we should lead off with Mega Man 11, which is coming late 2018. Of course, this is the next game in the mainline Mega Man series. The last one having been Mega Man 10, which I don't know when that came out, but probably at least 5 or 6 years ago.
2010.
2010.
I
Yeah,
think
it's
it
been
was
a long
2010. Yeah.
been a long time since Mega Man 10. So 9 and 10 went back to an NES 8-bit style, very much classic Mega Man, both in gameplay and presentation, which I think was cool. Um,
Hmm.
and when I first saw the trailer for Mega Man 11, I was a little bit like, oh, I don't know. They're going to like this like really modern look or whatever. And I wasn't sure if I was into it. But then I thought about it a little more, and it's like it really probably would have been kind of stale. And I don't think like another NES style Mega Man game would have worked or been that exciting. And even if they went to like an NES, like or even 32-bit look, I don't know. I feel like it would be. Um, I don't know, just not progressive enough. So I'm pretty excited about the look of Mega Man 11 at this point, and gameplay wise, it seems to be very much in the style of traditional Mega Man, with some updates and stuff like that. So yeah, I think hopefully this will be really really cool. It's still a ways out, like I said, end of 2018. So
Hmm.
you kind of have to. That's the other thing I'm thinking too as I'm watching the trailer. It's like, well, this is pretty early, and there's probably a lot of development left to go to in terms of um, the the performance of the game and all that stuff. So it's just an early look at it, I would say, at this point. But all signs point towards something pretty cool. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it looks good. I think it kind of looks like how I would expect like a Mega Man game to look now.
Hmm.
I think it's kind of like exactly what I would want.
Okay.
Um, And yeah, it looks like really fluid, like the animation looks good. Um yeah, I'm curious to see, like, I know there's some like new meters and stuff there, and um some like differences in how you equip items and everything, and how it kind of changes your visual appearance. And it seems like they're tweaking the formula a little bit. It's not just like an 8-bit game with, you know, a modern coat of paint. Um, I hope it like does a few interesting things, but still kind of retains the core Mega Man feeling.
Hmm.
Um, because like it's kind of crazy that like they're really kind of going um like all in on this, and it's not just like, oh, this is like a little you know, downloadable thing for like hardcore fans.
Yeah.
Like they're trying to kind of position this as a like, this is a big deal. And like, because it's on the cover of Game Informer next month, like,
Hmm.
which is crazy. um and yeah, I mean, I think it's a physical release was confirmed, like, so this might be like a full game. But it's also like, how do you sell a Mega Man game in 2018 at like Walmart? And I I don't know, like I hope they do like really kind of expand the formula and everything, and like build a lot of depth and replayability in there, or you know, extend the length of the game, or you know, whatever it takes to make it feel like a really substantial package, and not just like like in, again, like an 8-bit game in like a modern wrapper.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I think, if it's a $40 retail release, and it looks really modern as it does, I don't know. Like you see stuff like, I don't know what's out on physical like release. Like there's a lot of games that are like indie games that start out as $20 or $30 games on like the eShop or PSN or whatever. That when they get popular, they end up getting that physical release because
Yeah.
there's still that audience
Axiom
that,
Verge.
yeah, stuff like that. It's like it didn't have to become like 3 times the size of,
Yeah.
a Metroidvania game to be able to get sold at retail. It just has to be interesting. And Mega Man's got a leg up on something like that because, like the Walmart audience or whatever that's going to go into the store and like think about like, well, what game should I buy for my kid next for Switch or whatever? It has a more
Mhm.
modern look. It looks, shinier and, all that stuff. So I think it could do well. It's hard to imagine $60,
Mhm.
but like the thing I always have to remind myself of with Switch in terms of pricing and that kind of thing is like, I don't know, my default mentality goes to like $60 for Switch games because it's like a
Yeah.
console and it's like the replacement for my Wii U, but
Yeah.
it's also the replacement for my 3DS, which regularly featured for $30 and $40 retail games. So
Yeah.
when you think of it in those terms, I think it makes a little more sense.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I like that they're going out and they're like, you know, they're being bold with this and being like, this goes on the cover of Game Informer. This is a big deal. Like
Yeah.
this is the next step in the Mega Man series. Mega Man is back.
Right.
I like it. It makes me really happy.
Yeah, it is cool, and it's important that they do this because people have been really frustrated with Capcom for years and years, like ever since Mega Man. What was the game? The
Legends 3.
Legends 3 was canceled. It's like, oh well, Mega Man's dead. They're never going to do anything with Mega Man again. And I think they definitely could have given us a Mega Man, like a mainline Mega Man game, a little bit sooner than this. But I don't want to see one every 8 months either. You know what I mean? Like it's
Mhm.
cool to make it kind of a big deal. So that's good. Do you know what's going on with that cartoon, that the announced like Mega Man
Oh
cartoon?
yeah.
Because I was like, when I heard that this was coming, I was like, oh man, is it going to have like the same art design, and like, is it going to basically be like a version of that cartoon? But it doesn't
Yeah.
seem to be,
No.
obviously.
No, this is unrelated as far as I can tell. This is developed, you know, over in Japan. It's actually being developed internally at Capcom.
Yeah, instead of
which
Inti creates, right?
yeah, which I
Yeah.
thought was interesting. Like, and that's another like sign that like, no, this is Capcom taking this franchise back and making a big deal. But no, they I don't know what's going on with that American cartoon, and I just try not to think about it.
I mean, it's good that Mega Man here is not like a little tiny thing that's just on somebody's back or something, right? Like, isn't that the deal with the cartoon? Is he's like miniature, and I don't know, who knows? You remember this or no?
I don't know. I remember seeing the designs, and it's not for me. It's
Okay.
not for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, something that may very well be for you, Brian, is the Mega Man collections that are coming to Switch. So, Mega Man Legacy Collection 1 and Mega Man Legacy Collection 2 coming to Switch in 2018, which is awesome, as well as the Mega Man X Collection. So, correct me if I'm wrong here, but between those three collections coming to Switch, you're going to get every mainline Mega Man game and all of the Mega Man X games. Is that correct?
Yes, it hasn't been confirmed that the Mega Man X games are coming in a collection.
Oh, okay, okay.
The wording,
but they're all coming
like,
to Switch.
yeah, it was like all the Mega Man X games are coming to Switch. So
okay, so you'll have this little device that you can put in your backpack and take with you that can play the entirety of the primary Mega Man series on one device, which is pretty sweet.
yeah, so like Mega Man Legacy Collection 1 is 1 through 6, and I think we both had that on 3DS.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a pretty great collection. It sounds like they're adding the rewind feature from Disney Afternoon Collection to it as well, which rules. I love that rewind feature so much, and that's going to be really great for Mega Man games. And then the Legacy Collection 2 is 7 through 10. And that's also pretty cool.
I think also real quick, just the fact that Mega Man Legacy Collection 1 is coming to Switch, which is a digital Eclipse game, I think that bodes very well for the Afternoon Collection as well. Because one of the deals or one of the things with the whole digital Eclipse situation with these classic games is like once you get NES games going on like a certain console with our system, then it's easy to bring other games too. So
oh, nice.
Yeah. I don't remember all the technical details, but basically the way they get these games running is I think they put a ton of work into getting the engine set up to accurately play NES games for whatever given system. And then once they do that, I think it'll play lots of NES games, let's say. So
Nice.
Whatever they did to get Legacy Collection 1 up and running on Switch, I think will make getting the Afternoon Collection running on Switch, if they want to, if Capcom wants to, not too difficult.
Nice. And then maybe we could get a Ghouls and Ghosts collection on Switch.
Brutal. Yeah.
With the rewind feature.
Yeah, well, that would be, yeah.
That would be wonderful. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, obviously super stoked for all this. All this is coming in 2018, I'm assuming before Mega Man 11 drops. But yeah, that will be really great. I actually just after this news, I booted up Mega Man 10 on my Xbox One because it's backwards compatible, and I started a new game in that because I was just so stoked on Mega Man stuff and wanted to just play a bit. And that game rules. I love Mega Man 10 so much, and it made me super happy. And but like I did kind of notice like playing it on the Xbox One on my 4K TV, and it was like a 360 Xbox Live game. Like it looked a little bit blurry. It kind of had the feel of like NES games on the Wii U. It was kind of that vibe, and I was like, oh man, I really want this on my like crisp Switch screen. I really want to play these games there. So because I mean, just like 2D stuff, especially like 8 and 16-bit style visuals and just looks so good playing in handheld mode on the Switch. So it's going to be a perfect fit. I'm going to buy every single one of these. And it's going to be really interesting for me to when the X games start coming out, because I have the only games I've played in that series are X1 and X4 on PS1. I've not played any other Mega Man X games. I've played all of the like 1 through 10. I've played all of those, but for the X series, I've only played 1 and 4. And I like both those games a lot, but it's going to be like a whole bunch of brand new Mega Man games for me, which is kind of exciting, even though I heard like 7 and 8 are not too hot. Actually 6, 7, and 8 I heard are not too hot, but I'm really excited to play X2 and X3 because I've heard really great things about those.
I think I've only played Mega Man X1. That's it. So yeah, the X, I won't call it collection, but the X games, those will be mostly new to me too. So hopefully I'll get a chance to play a bunch of those. I'll definitely grab them, especially if it's a collection. And then even with the Mega Man Legacy Collection, I've played probably almost everything, if not everything, on the first one, but the second one, like I haven't played the PlayStation Mega Man games. So those would be
it's just 8.
Oh, just 8 is okay.
Yeah.
So what's on the second collection? Is it 6, 7, 8?
No,
or
it's
7.
7.
7.
Yeah,
Okay.
7 was SNES, 8 was PlayStation, then 9 and 10 were the.
Yeah, that's right. So I've played a little tiny bit of 7, probably only, and I don't even think I've necessarily played very much of 6. So there's some Mega Man in there for me to play that I haven't played either. But yeah. But then again, I'll probably play like 1, 2, and 3 like before I play anything else.
Yeah,
I like 1, but okay, yeah.
I like 1. I think with a rewind feature,
yeah,
it would be really nice. But yeah,
my problem with Mega Man games, and I'm sure a lot of people are probably in the same boat as me, is like I end up struggling a lot of times because it gets really hard at the Wily's Castle. Like the second or third or fourth part of Wily's Castle. Like a lot of times I'll play up to that and then be like, all right, kind of go do something else, So
yeah,
we'll see. But
yeah.
Bless you.
Excuse me. Sorry.
Bless you.
Yeah.
You must have those. You must have those ice allergies out there in Denver, huh?
Oh yeah, it's ice season's the worst for me. Cool. So yay, Mega Man in 2018. Tons of it to play. You can. I hope they the Legacy Collection comes out soon. In 2018, and we can start playing the games a little bit at a time leading up to 11. I think that would be really fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. So, 2 nights ago, the Game Awards happened, which I think we both tuned into. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I watched the early part of it. I didn't watch all of it. So, I just watched the initial part, and I waited for the Zelda reveal, which I knew was, or I thought would be coming. And once that happened, I ended up. I watched it for a little while after that, but then had some other stuff I had to do. So yeah.
Cool. It was a very Nintendo heavy show, I felt.
Mm-hmm.
There were like some of the highlights were during the orchestra bit. There was a live performance of Jump Up Superstar.
Yeah.
Complete with vocals, which was pretty wonderful. Zelda won a ton of awards, including Game of the Year. Being a pleasant surprise, but maybe not entirely unexpected. And then the Zelda Champions Ballad DLC Pack 2 was revealed as well, and it was announced that, and it was and it came out a few hours later.
Yeah.
So Yeah.
Well, plus
Have you?
Bayonetta, right? I mean,
Well, yeah. I was gonna just talk about Zelda
oh, okay, good. Yeah. All
first,
right. Yeah.
but
You don't have to talk about Bayonetta. That's fine.
no, no, we'll get to Bayonetta,
Oh.
John. Don't
Oh,
worry.
okay.
Don't worry.
Okay. Cool.
We'll get to your girl Bayo.
Witch hair.
But
Yeah. Cool.
um, yeah. Do you have the season pass, right?
I have the season pass. What happened is like I tuned out of the Game Awards after a little bit because I knew there'd be more Nintendo stuff, and I'll probably track that stuff down on YouTube and check it out. But like it started to lose my interest when it just I don't know. There was a lot of stuff that I'm not too interested in that was on the show, so kind of started to lose my interest. And then I was like, well, that Zelda DLC is probably going to go live anytime, So I went out and fired up the Switch and started the DLC download, but it was going to take like 40 minutes or something. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, well, I'll just play some Zelda. So I have it downloaded, but I have not started the DLC yet.
Okay.
So have you been able to start it?
Yeah, I started it. Yeah, I downloaded it and started it, and it's um, it's a little more demanding than I guess I was prepared for.
Mm-hmm.
And I got into it, and I haven't actually played Zelda in a few months. And I started it up and like got to like where I needed to be to start it, and I was like, "Whoa, this is really, really hard
Yeah.
and really demanding," and I'm not quite in the mood for it
Uh-huh.
because it's very high stakes combat focused, and I'm just kind of like set it down and played other stuff. But I think it will be cool to go to when when it strikes my fancy.
Yeah, I still have a lot of shrines to find and stuff. I have only like 80 out of the 120 shrines, so I still have a lot of shrines that I want to track down and everything. And like when I fired the game up and had to wait for the DLC to download, I was playing a little bit, and it was like, all right, well, I'm not. I have to wait for this DLC to download anyway, so I'll go out and try to find some shrines and whatever. And they as I was doing that, I was like struggling with the controls and trying to remember how to play the game. And like once I feel like in that game, once you start looking for a shrine, or once you kind of start following some kind of path or objective or whatever, it's just hard to pull myself away from it until I've done that. So yeah, I started looking for shrines, and then I'm looking for one, and obviously in that process, I noticed something else like off the beaten path, and end up following that too. And yeah, I just kind of got like interested in trying to do some of the things that I had last been attempting last time I played the game. And then I think like during that process, I realized like I probably need to play for an hour or two just to get back into the swing of like how this game works and how the controls work and all that stuff. Because yeah, like I ended up, one of the shrines I found was like a minor test of strength, and I didn't have any problem with it, but during that fight I was like, oh yeah, I'm not really good at this anymore. Like I don't remember how to do this and stuff. So I think I need to warm up to the level where I can start on the DLC. So
Yeah, I think I need to do the same because the first thing I did, I was like um, running, and I jumped off a cliff, and well, I was like going to jump off a cliff and like use my parasail, and I went and ran off a cliff and jumped and pressed the B button to jump,
yeah,
and nothing happened. And then I like double tapped it to like open my parasail, and nothing happened.
yeah.
And I just like fell straight to the ground and realized that you actually use the X button to jump and use your parasail. So
Or
uh,
isn't X attack and Y is jump? I don't
no,
know.
Y is attack and X is jump, the top button.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and
so
it's yeah, the controls are so different from Mario, which is what I've been playing
yep.
mostly on the Switch. That it's just like, yeah, I totally had the same thing. I couldn't remember how to run. I couldn't remember a lot of things, and I was like, yep, I need some refreshing on Breath of the Wild for sure.
Yeah, but
Especially
like
since I wasn't that good in the first place.
yeah, same. But
Yeah.
like my thing, and I still have shrines to finish. I still have Korok seeds to find.
Oh,
I still have like my house stuff to do. Like all of this game, but like I still like I still have this part of me that really just wants to start the game over and start like a completely new game and play through like all the story content and stuff again. Um, and that's like always gnawing at me.
Well, yeah, that's my thing too. I'm not sure what I want to do because I wanted to get all 120 shrines and all 12 memories before starting the DLC. And Mario came out and I don't know, I lost steam and didn't get back to doing it. I've been wanting to, but actually thinking about starting up Zelda again last weekend, even before this announcement of the DLC was made, because I got to a place in Mario where I was like, okay, well, yeah, I think I can take a break from this, or I don't know how much of it I'm going to complete. Like, I don't see myself doing 100% completion on getting all the moons and stuff in Mario Odyssey, so I can step away from that and go back to Zelda. And it didn't quite happen, but yeah, I'm a little torn because this DLC, Champions Ballad DLC, it seems to be pretty story heavy, and I haven't really completed the story yet because I don't have all the memories, you know. So I think like maybe at least I should go find all the memories and watch those again before I jump into the Champions Ballad DLC.
Yeah, I think definitely getting all 13 of the memories.
Okay.
I believe.
Well, it's like you get 12 and then there's a 13th that you get as a
yeah.
reward for getting all 12, right?
I think you have to actually find it. I don't totally remember, but I think that the memories are where the story happens.
Yeah.
For the game, and when you put all of them together, it creates like a really great picture.
Yeah.
And I think that is definitely something that everyone should do in Breath of the Wild.
Right.
So
cool.
Yeah, it's tough, but it's also ridiculous because I've played like 70 hours of that game, and like I am maybe half done with it. Like I was looking, and I have like 20 quests in my quest log, and it's absurd, but it's so good. It was so nice to just like, you know, start the game up and like hearing the music and everything and just running around in that world again was just really wonderful. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say I have to agree with the decision made on the part of the Game Awards too. Like it's my game of the year, no doubt. So I was pretty happy to see it win that award as well. Not to spoil our game of the year decisions next February or whenever we do it, but yeah.
Totally
it's totally Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. Yep. Cool. So also very exciting for me, at least, Reggie came on the Game Awards stream and announced that Bayonetta 1 and 2 were coming to the Nintendo Switch. You know, if you've listened to this podcast, especially during the Wii U era, you will know that I adore the Bayonetta games. They are some of my favorite action games of all time, and some of my favorite games in the past, in last generation. And I am totally on board for getting the games again on Switch. Super, super fun, super exciting. Because I don't like my Wii U isn't even like hooked up anymore at this point. So this I would much rather. I don't know if I would be revisiting the games on Wii U, I guess is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
But I will definitely revisit them on the Nintendo Switch. So that's super exciting. And then even more exciting is that Bayonetta 3 is in development for the Nintendo Switch, and it is like Bayonetta 2, a Nintendo Switch exclusive. So I guess Bayonetta is a Nintendo franchise now, which is just the weirdest thing in the world. But I guess that's the way it is, and I love it.
Yeah, I mean, you had to wonder if the series would still exist without Nintendo kind of supporting it the way they do. So
it absolutely would not.
Yeah, so I think it's an exclusive for Nintendo because they're kind of putting the resources into it to make it happen. So If you're a Bayonetta fan, which I decidedly am not, but if you're a Bayonetta fan, then like yeah, it's pretty great that Nintendo is coming in and continuing to support these games. So
Yeah,
I think it
and
was really important on Wii U that they did that kind of stuff because like they didn't have a lot coming to Wii U, and that was a big get, I think, to be able to say like, look at this, series Bayonetta that we now have on the Wii U, and it's the only place you can play it, stuff like that. I don't think that's quite as critical anymore with Switch because they're getting so much great stuff. But it's cool that like they have that relationship with Platinum, and they're continuing to bring that to their consoles. And then also the people, it's cool for the people who did play the game on Wii U and are fans of the series too, that like now that they don't necessarily need to have that exclusive game in the same way that they did before, they're still going after it, or not going after it, but still giving it their support.
yeah, and I think having Bayonetta does bring over like a certain audience that may not necessarily I think there's a huge crossover between like people who love Nintendo games and people who love Platinum games, and
Yeah.
people who love Japanese games in general. I think it's a really, really great fit. But I also think there are people who like specifically like really like those character action games, which mostly don't appear on Nintendo platforms. But I was looking in, I think, the Reset era forums, just at like some of the reactions to Bayonetta 3 coming to the Switch, and I did see some people in there being like, "Oh wow, I guess I'm going to be buying a Switch sooner than later."
Mm-hmm.
In there, so I think there is like an audience that you know um, will be coming to the console for that. But I think it also just kind of really supports the audience that's already there, and I think it's a weirdly great fit. But I also like it really kind of like in a weird way like further validates the series for me because I was definitely not alone in this, but as when the original Bayonetta came out, like I was kind of on the train of like, this is the best character action game like ever made. Like this is like the systems and depth, but also like accessibility and playability and just feel of the game is so good, and the style is not everyone's thing, but it's bold, and but I think really it comes down to like the core gameplay is just really, really good, and it kind of validates for me that like Nintendo is like yeah, this is a like a somewhat memorable character and stuff, but also like if those games played like crap, I don't think Nintendo would be putting them on their systems and like funding them and stuff. I think Nintendo also sees that like these are really great playing games,
Mm-hmm.
with a lot of replayability and just a whole spectrum of accessibility. Like these are games that you can just pick up and like button mash on, or you can play in like a ridiculous manner if you once you've mastered the systems and stuff, and make it just look like a beautiful ballet of violence. And I think it's cool that Nintendo sort of recognizes that and is throwing so much weight behind the series.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, like I said, I can't see myself playing these, but I'm definitely happy that they're coming to Switch because it's just not. I'm just not the audience for it. But I don't think there's really any doubt that they're among the best games in that style. You know what I mean? So, so yeah, it's definitely very cool that that Nintendo supports them and that they're coming to Switch, no doubt.
Yeah, and I guess one more. thing here coming to Switch that I'm very, very stoked about and is like a ridiculous surprise. And I don't know, it's kind of like the most Switch thing ever because I just feel like there's like every week there's just a game that's like, whoa, that's coming to Switch. Whoa, that's coming to Switch next week. Is kind of like been the last few months of this console, and it's been awesome. But yeah, Square Enix is bringing Romancing Saga 2 to Switch on December 15th. And Romancing Saga 2 was a Squaresoft game that originally appeared on the Super Famicom, but was never released in the West. And I'm not sure. I don't think this is going to be just like a port of the Super Famicom version. I think from like what I could tell from the video, like it seems to be like spruced up a bit. But yeah, this game I am super excited for. I generally enjoy the Saga games. I really like the Final Fantasy Legend games on the original Game Boy, and I definitely appreciate this series. But you know, I've never played any of these Super Famicom entries because you know they weren't released here, and they have been like fan translated and stuff. But I don't really, you know, I've never really dug into that stuff. So, but yeah, like this is from like Squaresoft in their prime. You know, my favorite Squaresoft games are on the Super Nintendo, and you know, this is a 1993 Squaresoft game, so like kind of I guess between Final Fantasy 4, 5, 6, like kind of in the middle of that era, like around the time of like Secret of Mana. You know, this is Squaresoft firing on all cylinders, and you know, I don't think this game's as regarded as some of those other ones, but you kind of know it's going to have amazing sprite work and amazing art design and like super good music, and I'm really, really excited to get this game on Switch. And I know it's these games can have the Saga series can have some like somewhat obtuse systems to them compared to like a Final Fantasy. But like I'm totally like ready for you know, after the Last Jedi fever has subsided a bit, or in moments
of respite.
Between.
Yeah.
Yes. I think it would be really fun to like dig into this over winter break. Like the idea of like, you know, snow on the ground, break off work, like curling up with my Switch and like an old school Squaresoft game. That just sounds kind of perfect. So I'm super, super excited that this is coming to Switch, and I cannot wait.
So, quick question about this one, because it is like sounds like it's based on the mobile port, and I haven't really played too many or any of the Square like mobile RPG ports or whatever. But I know sometimes when they come with remastered graphics, it's like we took the graphics and made them horrible. So, what are your feelings on the graphics for this game? Because you mentioned like really great sprite work and stuff, but I know that these are like, or this game is like, it does feature updated graphics. So,
right.
How much
yeah, I think there's there's like the really hideous Square mobile ports, like your Final Fantasy 5 and 6. Which are just like dreadful. But then I think this is closer to like the Dragon Quest mobile ports, which I bought Dragon Quest 3 on iOS, and I found that to be like it kind of feels like an updated version of like the Super Nintendo or Super Famicom port
Okay.
um, of that, and I don't love the font that they use in any of these, but I also hate 99% of mobile game fonts
Hmm.
in general. Like they kind of make me queasy, and this is no, not really any exception to that, but it's not the most horrible I've seen. Um, Actually, I'd say it's a little better, but it looks like mobile game font. Um, but
Which is
but
a
yeah,
bummer in RPG when there's a ton of text, right?
I know. Yeah, it's and also like the borders they use for stuff and like giant boxes because it's like all touchscreen. Uh, um,
So safe
but
to say it would be a little bit cooler if it was just like the original graphics instead of these updated graphics, but you take what
yeah,
you can get, right?
yeah. And I think the actual graphics like they're like touched up sprites.
Mhm.
But it's not like they redid them in like a Flash style that's like hideous.
Okay. Gotcha.
Um, so yeah, I think it's definitely closer to like what they did with the Dragon Quest games. So I think I'm totally fine with the visuals here, and like you can actually like you can really see like the original sprite design in it, whereas like I don't know what I'm looking at when I look at like that hideous Final Fantasy VI port, which makes me just very sad. Um, so yeah, so this is cool. I'm so stoked for this. They've also like added new classes and stuff in it, but which doesn't really do much for me because I didn't ever play the original game. But like a new dungeon, um, new dungeons, maybe no one new dungeon. I don't know. It's so cool, and like watching the trailer and seeing like all like the beautiful art of this game, like oh man, I am so stoked. This is wonderful.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, those are a whole bunch of games coming to Switch in the next you know from like next week to
Oh,
2018.
you know what? Just real super quickly, in the
Sure.
interest of that, new games coming to Switch. I'm actually really excited for. I think it's next week, sometime next week, for Zen Pinball coming to Switch. I guess Zen Pinball FX3, I think, is what it would be.
Yeah.
But yeah, Zen Pinball coming with a vertical mode. Should be awesome. That's really cool. The Star Wars tables and some of the other like theme tables, like Marvel and stuff that you might want, are not going to be with it at launch, but
Hmm.
those will be on the way. So that's a little bit of a bummer. And then I think there's another pinball game too, Stern Pinball game coming to
Yes.
Switch also. So like that's exciting. Like pinball games on Switch. Yes, that sounds very good. So I'm excited for that.
I know, and I kind of want to buy both because Stern Pinball has one of my favorite pinball tables ever. And I hope it's in this Switch version, but I believe they had like the Star Trek, the Next Generation pinball table.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, I think they had that, and I think they might have had the Adams Family one
Oh,
as
nice.
well. Um, so those would be super cool. And I think, yeah, Switch is like a great place to play pinball
Oh,
games.
yeah, I just looked it up. Star Trek Vengeance Premium. But there's also an AC/DC table, a Last Action Hero table, which is blowing my mind right now.
Oh my
I bought that
goodness.
Blu-ray on Amazon last night. It's $5.99 on Amazon. I bought that last night. So this is some
Wow.
major synergy. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. That sounds like a cool table. And there's also a Ghostbusters table in there. So and those are the ones that are, I guess, part of the collection, at least from the start. I don't know if there's downloadable tables for that, or I also don't know if there's like a vertical mode in that game or not. Maybe not. But anyway, yeah, I'm excited for that one too. And with the Zen Pinball, it's a free download, and then you could just buy the tables that you want to buy. So I don't know how the pricing works on the Stern version, but yeah, it should be cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe it doesn't have the Star Trek TNG pinball table because that sounds like a different one. Um, but I don't know. I guess we'll have to see. Yeah, I'm I'm totally on board for pinball on Switch. I have Pinball FX2, I think,
Hmm.
on the Wii U.
Hmm.
And I had like the Star Wars Rebels table,
Yeah.
and was there like an original trilogy one? There's like a Boba
Oh,
Fett.
there's a bunch of different collections. There's Force Awakens tables too, which are really fun. There's two
Oh, I
different
never
Force
got
Awakens.
those.
Yeah, I don't know if they're on Switch is the issue, or I mean on Wii U. I don't
Okay.
remember. I had them on PS3, and then the nice thing too is when the PS4, release of Zen Pinball 3 came out, I was able to just like transfer those tables over.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so you don't have to buy them again or anything. Because the same tables play in Zen Pinball 3, but it just has like added features and graphical updates and stuff. So anyway, yeah, really cool game. I will definitely buy those Star Wars tables on the Switch version though when that comes out, and some other stuff too, other tables. Like it's just a really cool game. So yeah.
Nice.
But
Nice.
I think the thing with the Stern one, if I'm not totally, hopefully I'm not getting this wrong, but I think the thing with the Stern one is that it's more like recreates actual pinball tables that they've released, whereas like
Right.
Zen Pinball is not real like physical pinball games. It's they're making them specifically for Zen Pinball, so that's kind of that's like a cool difference between the two.
Yeah, it kind of makes both worthwhile, I
Yeah.
think, because they
Yep.
are kind of their own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, wait, is Zen? You said Zen Pinball. Is that different from Pinball Effects?
No. Yeah. No. Yeah. That's the same. Yeah.
Okay, they're the same.
They're the
Okay,
same. Yeah.
so there's just like two major pinball series.
Yeah. There might be
Or
more.
is
I
there
feel like
more?
there is more, but Pinball FX is the one from Zen.
Okay, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So other cool games that uh I've actually been playing on Switch. I've been playing my Switch a ton the past few weeks. Um, I guess one thing that has popped up since we last recorded is Splatoon 2. There was that big update with some new features, some new maps, and some new music. John, have you? We played a little Splatoon 2.
Yeah, and I played a little bit this morning before we started too, just to try to get a little more time in with it. So, which
Nice,
I didn't get
nice.
a couple matches, but yeah.
Yeah. Have you played on any of the new maps? Heard any of the new music?
Yeah, I played a couple of the new maps. I don't know if I'm embarrassed to say, I don't know if I really noticed the new music. I think I just get in there and
Oh,
like I'm too in the zone to be paying attention. So yeah, I haven't really noticed the new music as much, but I've definitely played on a couple of the new maps, and I was playing on a new one this morning that I don't think I played before until this morning. So that was cool. I don't know the name of it, but yeah, I've played a couple. I played the shopping, or the
the
market or
marked.
whatever. Yeah,
Yeah,
that one's cool. So
yeah, for
um,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. I really like the like classical piano rock music in there. It's pretty awesome. But yeah, like always new Splatoon stages are always fun. It's nice to keep the game feeling fresh with that. So yeah, it's I hope they just keep on supporting
Hmm.
the game and keep on giving us reasons to return, because it's always fun to go back to that game. Um, it's a game it's getting to the point where I kind of wish I had it digital, because it's one that like I kind of go back to so much. And I'm thinking like the first time it like goes on sale on the eShop, I think I'm just going to buy it digital and sell my cartridge, because it's always like I'm not a huge fan of switching cartridges on my Switch, especially now when there's like so many games I'm switching between. Like I have I have um, Splatoon 2, Doom, Mario Odyssey, and Xenoblade Chronicles 2. And like I've been switching between those games, and I'm like, man, I wish I had all these games digitally.
Yeah.
But I also like having Switch cartridges, and they're typically cheaper, with 20% off. But at the same time, like, it's also like a lot of times I'll be sitting there playing my Switch and I'll just go to one of the games that I have digitally because I'm like too lazy to get up and go switch a cartridge. So
Yeah, switching them out is definitely not super convenient, but for me it's like between the discount and the fact that they taste interesting, and just the fact that I like having the boxes and stuff, it's kind of a must for me. So to do physical when possible for the most part anyway. So
yeah, yeah. All right. So yeah, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I've played about I don't know, 16 or 17 hours of it so far. I like it a ton. Um yeah, it's I think it's overall, I'm having a much more pleasant experience with it right from the get-go than I did with Xenoblade Chronicles X, which I remember even in like the honeymoon period with that game, there were a lot of red flags, that I was not going to enjoy that game, and ultimately I did not end up enjoying it very much. But I do really enjoy Xenoblade Chronicles 1, and this is definitely a sequel to that. Um, and I think it's got a lot going for it. One of the most noticeable and most pleasant parts of Chronicles 2 for me is the fact that there is so much music. And it's a lot of the music is by one of my favorite composers ever, Yasunori Mitsuda, who composed like Chrono Trigger, Chrono Cross, Xenogears, some of my absolute favorite soundtracks, and he just kind of kills it on here. But it also, like, a lot of the music kind of like harkens back and has like the same vibe of Yoko Shimomura's score in the original Xenoblade um, Chronicles. So, but what I really just like about it is that like there's just a huge variety of music, and like even in just like the first you know um 16, 17 hours that I've played, there's been like just tons of different like compositions and stuff, and for lots of different areas, lots of different moments. And it just feels like there's a lot of music in this game, and it's keeping things really exciting because it's adding to the excitement of exploring new areas and stuff, and progressing the story because you're just constantly getting treated to like this awesome new JRPG music wherever you go. So that's made me really happy, especially after the
the music, the atrocity that is the music on.
yeah. It's totally fine if you like the Xenoblade Chronicles X soundtrack. Ironically, we all have those. We all have those things. That's totally cool. It's really bad. It's like, I mean, it's funny because it's terrible,
Yeah.
but it's really terrible, and it's really not cool when you're playing a game that is like 100 hours long with this like awful like Eurobeat R&B from like the mid 90s in there, which is, it's charming but also drives you insane. Like, it's not fun.
No.
But yeah, this is definitely much improved in the sound department. Um so yeah, I mean, I think it's insane. I've mostly been playing the game in portable mode, and but I have played some dock mode because I've almost run down my Switch battery a couple times playing it, so I've had to dock it. And I also bought the totally ridiculous, totally sweet. I have it right here. The Pro controller for the game, which speaking of 90s, this is like a trapper keeper of a controller with neon green and pink, and it is absolutely ridiculous, but I love it. And yeah, so it's been fun playing with that controller, playing the game dock mode. It definitely looks way better in dock mode, but when you're playing it on a handheld, like there's some visual quirks to it. Like it's definitely running at a lower resolution, but it's still like so impressive playing like a giant open game with these like sweeping vistas and like anime style like character designs and stuff, like playing that on like the beautiful Switch screens. It still like is really, really impressive, and it's like a totally playable, it's a totally like accessible way to play the game. Like I was just like when I was watching wrestling on Monday through Wednesday, like the whole time I was just basically just running around and like grinding in Xenoblade on the Switch, and like it's totally awesome for that. And then like when it's time for me to like play some like big story stuff or like go to a new area, then it's like, all right, turn on the volume, maybe put it in docked mode, and yeah, it's again like the versatility of the Switch console just makes this game like so much more accessible and playable. It's I would, if this game was on like Wii U or like a standard console, like I definitely would not have put as much time into it as I have. So it's again, like the Switch is such a great fit for like giant RPGs. Um other things, kind of just going into like the story and stuff. It's got there's a lot of JRPG tropes in here. I think it's overall like a pretty compelling and interesting story, which I feel like the Xeno games always kind of have that going for them. Like there's always like there's always like some like really high concept elements like married with your JRPG tropes, and I think this game is a very good example of that. I'm not going to go specifically into the story, but there is some there's always a little bit of that like weird existential pondering in there, and some like high concept sci-fi elements, but there's also like a whole lot of like, oh, is this bad guy really the bad guy type Japanese RPG stuff, and there's like goofy character moments that like play out through like little skits and stuff, like very like Tales style, in the like bonding moments that you can find on the map. So it's cool. Because I like a lot of that cheesy JRPG stuff, but I also like am a huge fan of like the really high concept, like weird existential JRPG stories from like the PS1 era that like don't really happen much anymore. Your Chrono Cross and your Xenogears, and I love all that stuff too. So like this kind of brings a little bit of that into it, but also like a lot more palatable, I think, and more accessible. But Yeah, I also there's also some like legit humor in it. There are some like actually funny moments in the game, which I wasn't really expecting. I felt like with Xenoblade Chronicles X, there were some like attempts at humor, but a lot of it like felt weird and kind of fell flat. But like this game, there's I don't know, it's made me laugh out loud a few times, which is also very cool, very pleasant in there. But yeah, I think there's going to be a lot to say about this game. I'm really interested in how it progresses and how it, goes for the next, I don't know, 80 hours or whatever it takes me to finish it. But I do think like this is one I will be sticking with, and I do want to see it through, unless I hit like a major roadblock or something. I think I will be. So there will be more to say about Xenoblade Chronicles 2 in a future episode, I think.
Is Lindsay playing?
No, she isn't. She was she was kind of interested, but she also was watching me play and um was actually found some of the one of the female character designs a bit off-putting, and I think that may have completely turned her off to the game.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well,
So
I know which one she's talking about, and I
yeah,
can see exactly why she might feel that way
yeah,
because it's pretty stupid.
it's not great. Yeah,
Mm.
I guess we might as well talk about this. Pyra, her outfit sucks. I mean, it's just that is that. Like, it's really bad. It's super pandering and kind of embarrassing. It's obviously not enough to turn me off of the game. I'm not like boycotting the game or anything, but I also think like it's something that it's fair to be critical of because it's dumb. So
It's not even just
she
the outfit either. It's like the anatomy is like absurd, right? I mean,
yeah. Yeah, I mean like well, I mean basically she's wearing like leather booty shorts with like a thong sticking out, and then she has like a size -1 waist, and I don't know, like whatever extreme bust.
yeah, yeah,
um
nonsensical.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it serves absolutely like no purpose aside from like eye candy. Like it's not addressed in the story, which is probably a good thing because
Yeah.
like how do you even do that in like a tactful way?
It would
But
just bring the story down along with the character design rather than improve
yeah,
anything. Like, yeah.
right. But it's ridiculous because like she's a super great character, and like her dynamic with the other characters is fantastic, and she's really well written. But yeah, it's just very dumb that
Mm.
and it's also like completely at odds with the rest of the characters and the rest of the game world, because like she's basically the only one walking around like this in this game world. And it's just which I mean like it, she can dress how she wants. Like she can totally own it. More power to her, but I don't think this is a case of empowerment for her character. I think it's more just kind of pandering to the lowest common denominator,
Mm.
and it just is completely at odds with the artistry in in everything I talked about: the complexity of the battle system, the artistry in the open world and the music, the well written story, the depth of themes, and all of that. It is just completely at odds with all of that, and yeah, and it was enough to make my wife be kind of hesitant about playing the game because she's just like, oh wow, and it wasn't like she's like, oh, I'm boycotting this game because I'm like a feminist and like this is bad or whatever. It's just like, oh, that's really dumb. I was like, yeah, it's really dumb. It doesn't really affect the game too much, but yeah, it's pretty dumb. So
yeah, I mean,
yeah.
well, we don't have to get all into it, but if somebody wants to personally, like, if a personal boycott, like, is basically just a choice not to play something, right? And like, if you have let's just say, like, the game sends the message to a huge portion of its potential audience that, like, hey, we're not making this for you. We're making it like for a totally, like, we're making it for dudes who want to see, this kind of thing. Maybe that's not like the intended message or whatever, but like, I don't think there's anything like, I don't know. I guess I'm just saying, like, if she saw that and that was her reaction, is like, I don't want to play a game like this. Like, I don't want to play a game that presents a female character this way. I would say, that makes total sense and is even like the most logical reaction. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I mean, obviously I understand that you support it, but like, that you support that reaction and everything, and you're making that clear, but it's just like, good for her if that was her response, because like, and I'm not saying like, oh, like nobody should play this game, or like, everybody run out and, write angry letters to Nintendo and like burn this copies of this game, or I'm not saying any of those things, but I'm just saying, like, if a person sees something horrible, like obnoxious like that, and is like, I don't want to play a game with like garbage like that in it, then good for them,
Yeah.
is my thought.
Yeah, it's like one of those things, like, if you're on the fence, like, there's so much stuff to play right now, like, and all it takes is like something like that to just make you maybe not.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and then, I mean, I'm sure there's like so many more positive things about the game that, like,
oh, absolutely,
can outweigh that, and so like, cool, good, play the game and enjoy it and all those things. But I just, and I know this is how you feel too, but I just, like, if somebody feels like that element of the game invalidates the game or makes them not want to play it, then I think that is completely valid, a way to react to the game. So
yeah,
just throwing that out there.
And I think it's just such a bummer that, like, people who are like as talented and just like wonderful at making games as Monolith Soft is, like, it's like they don't need this. Like, they don't have to do this to sell their game. But if it's their choice. Like, also, like, that's their vision. Cool. I'm not gonna like take that away from them, of course. So I mean, cool. But it's just
well, video games are complicated things too, right? Because you have so many people that are making it, and it's like, oh, it's their vision. Well, it could just be one person of, with a lot of sway, and it's like that person's vision, and then like the other 90% of the people working on the game or whatever, like, it's not really their vision. Their vision is like all the other positive things about the game, but it just ends up being part of it because, that's kind of how, games work. You have like a ton of people. Obviously, you have, people in authority who are making final decisions and stuff, but it's such a collaborative thing that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's yeah, I would venture to guess that not everybody involved with the development of the game that that are important parts of why the game is really good, if it is, like, are super into that character design either. So
yeah, or maybe they are. I don't know. But I know, and we really need to move on, and this is ridiculous. It's probably just like pissing people off at this point, but which is fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, they like, I know it, like, it also probably is like completely hypocritical of me, or it sounds hypocritical of me to kind of like talk about how dumb this is, but then also like praise like Bayonetta. But I think the thing with Bayonetta is the like her the like sexualization of her is something that, like, she completely owns, and it is like it's addressed in the context of the game, and like, whether, and then it comes down to like, oh, is this something you like or something you don't like? But I think, like, it's actually like it's there with a purpose. Like, she is supposed to be like a sexy sexualized action hero, and like and that is known by like, you know, that's how the game's marketed, that's how characters like address her, that is how she like responds in the game. You know, it's part of the like not I guess it's even part of the mechanics in the game. But in this case, like in Xenoblade, like it's just like Pyra is just like walking around like this, and like everyone's like, no big deal. Like it's not it like serves no purpose.
Yeah.
And but I guess you could say like it also doesn't serve any purpose that the main character has like ridiculous pants, like hammer pants with weird armor on them. And I mean, I guess it's
well, I'm not playing Chronicles 2 because like Chronicles for me was, I spent $60 on it. I bought it digitally, which it would have been great to have bought it physically in retrospect, because I would have sold it, but it just didn't do it for me. And like, you know, I'm playing like one RPG a year probably. So this is not the one I'm probably gonna, you know, stake my flag in or whatever, you know, and end up playing. But I you know, and every game has a different tone and a different, you know, kind of vibe about it and everything. But I'm just thinking like, you know, this is Monolith was really involved in Breath of the Wild too, right? And Breath of the Wild's an amazing game. You know, like Breath of the Wild is fantastic. But if there was a character in the game that looked like this, like that was this extreme and kind of absurd or whatever, I'd still play Breath of the Wild, but I'd be mad about it. I'd be annoyed. And I would be like, if somebody didn't want to play it because of that character, I would say, yeah, well, you know, good on you, because it doesn't make any sense. And it's just like when something doesn't fit, and I haven't played Chronicles 2, so I don't know, maybe it fits better than I'm imagining it would, but it would not make any sense in Breath of the Wild. And all it would do if I was playing that game and then I came across a character that was like designed in such an absurd way and you know, was so absurdly exaggerated, it would just pull me out of the experience and frustrate me. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And yeah, I wouldn't call for a boycott of that game either necessarily, but I would also be completely supportive of not wanting to play it because it has something that's off-putting and offensive potentially, and just like, you know, just not good. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Well, but I mean, also with Breath of the Wild though, I know like some people did have some issues with how like the cross-dressing was portrayed in the game, and like the NPC and you know, and the way Link dresses up and all of that. And yeah, like I mean, I read a few pieces on that, and like I totally get like why people took issue with it. I also totally you know, I also read some counterpoints to it, and saw you know,
yeah, and
people saying, oh, it's not, you know, it's not that big of a deal.
That's a case where it's interesting, you know what I mean? Because it's like, hey, maybe this wasn't handled well, and let's explore that. But like, what's the argument that this is handled well in Xenoblade? Really, you know what I mean? It's not really, there's not much complexity to this issue as far as I can tell. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Unfortunately.
And that's where I say like Bayonetta, there's an argument that can be made. You may disagree with it, but there is an argument to be made. This, it just feels like pandering. And again, it's not like I've spent 17 hours in the game. I don't even like think about this really at this point, but like there is like just that initial moment. And there are like sometimes during like cutscenes or something where you're like, oh, okay. That's oh yeah, that's there.
Well, are there options to like improve her outfit, like, you know, cover her up kind of? Oh
no, I really wish there was like customizable armor or something. This is a game that would really, really benefit from that. Like just
because with the original Xenoblade Chronicles, like you were totally changing like your gear and stuff, and like your character would look really different depending on what kind of gear you were wearing, didn't?
Yeah, yeah. Like so, I'd like to just like put her in a mech suit or something, like put her in a Gundam and like run around. Which who knows? Maybe that will happen because this is a Xenoblade game. But yeah.
All right. Well,
I would pay $1.99 for DLC for like a better outfit. I actually would legit do that. And
Well,
not feel bad.
we spent about half as much time talking about that outfit as we did the game itself, which is probably my fault. But to wrap
That's
up the
fair to bring him.
yeah, but to wrap up the discussion of this game, it's like you are super positive on it and enjoying it a
Yeah,
lot, right?
I
Even though
I
there is
love it.
a
I love it. Hmm.
okay,
Yep.
cool.
So it's so good, so good. Um, okay, two more games I want to talk about really, really fast because oh my goodness, we are. Boy, this is a really long episode. Um, okay, one is, and I feel like this completely like just is not getting any love anywhere. It just was really bad timing. But Resident Evil Revelations, I bought that on the eShop. It's a game that we have talked about for years on this podcast. I mean, I feel like we have multiple episodes where we've talked about Resident Evil Revelations. It is one of my top 3 games in the series. Um, I have played through it so many times on 3DS, and I've put a ton of time into the raid mode on 3DS. And having it on Switch now is so awesome, and it is just completely. It's one of those games that like every time I go back to, I'm like, oh man, this game is so good. I love it so much. And I've been playing both the campaign and the raid mode, and it is so good on Switch. Like I feel like this is the definitive version. Like I also bought the game on PS3 and I liked playing it on PS3. I liked the updated visuals and stuff, but really I feel like the original Revelations was so designed for a handheld because it has like these, it's so chapter based and in the campaign, and then like the raid mode are like these, like 5 minute challenges, and where you're just like constantly every time you do one, you're like progressing and leveling up and upgrading your weapons and unlocking new characters and all of this. And like it's so perfect for like bite-sized handheld play. And I think that's like, so the Switch version is like the best of both worlds because you're getting really, really great visuals. I think this game like, it uses that MT framework engine over at Capcom, and it like upscales really, really well. I think it looks gorgeous on the Switch, and you also have like it also includes amiibo support, so you can scan amiibo to get BP, which is like the currency in raid mode to buy new items and weapons and stuff, and you can scan any amiibo once a day. So which I actually like scanned like 15 amiibo last night just until I got bored and got so much BP. And I could have just like gone through my entire collection and spent like an hour doing that, but I chose not to. But that's kind of ridiculous and kind of breaks the game in a way, but it's also like whatever because the raid mode is just kind of like, it's just fun. But then you also can use AR controls. So no, IR controls.
AR.
Not augmented reality, but IR controls. So you can take the Joy-Cons off and play it with pointer controls like Resident Evil 4 on Wii, which is my favorite port of RE4. So it's just, I don't know, like it is like weirdly just like the perfect version of this game, and it's $20 on the eShop, or you can get the pack that has Revelations 1 and 2 for like $40 if you want like a physical copy or whatever. But it is like, I think it's a perfect game to just like have on your system, especially with raid mode, which I think is a super, super underappreciated game mode. And it's so addicting and just super, super fun to play. So yeah, I feel like it kind of came out at a bad time and was like sort of under the radar. And and it's a game people have played and are like, well, I don't need to buy that game again. But like, you kind of do need to buy the game again because I have been so excited revisiting it.
Yeah, I want to get it. I just don't want it right now. Like as I mentioned to you over text conversation, and then just
Mhm.
because it's not the time of the year that I want to play a game like this. But then the other thing too is I would argue, in favor of the physical release again, because if you buy each of them separately as digital, it's $20 a piece, or you can get both for like if you do that 20% off thing, like you and I both do, you can get both for 32. So it's only
Yeah,
an extra
and I think
$12 to get like the to have both games. So
yeah, and I think the with the physical edition, I think it's physical for Revelations 1 and a download code for Revelations 2. So you're kind of
yeah.
getting the digital
Yeah, that's a good point.
version
Yeah,
'cause-
and for me, since I'm not going to get it right away, but I'll probably get it sometime in the spring, maybe. By that point, it might be on sale for like $30, and then I get both games for like barely more than the price of the digital for the
yeah.
first one. So,
Um
although it's the
yeah,
first
yeah.
one, I'll probably play more, to be honest. So,
I prefer the first one.
oh yeah,
But I'm actually kind of excited, I think, to to give Revelations 2 another go, because that's when I played through the campaign on PS4. I liked it. I didn't love it. Um, I was kind of disappointed as a fan of Revelations 1, but when I think about it, I didn't really like dig into the raid mode in Revelations 2, so that actually might actually be really cool. Um, and especially on Switch, which I think is like the perfect place to play like a um, that kind of mode.
yeah,
So yeah, I'm actually pretty excited. I think I will kind of keep at these games for a while. And it was a really pleasant surprise. I was just really shocked at like how exciting it was to go back to this game that I've played so much of, but it feels so fresh and so awesome on the Switch. So. And last, I want to give a plug to Gunbird, which just released on the eShop this week. It was one of, I believe, 18 games releasing on the eShop this week, but do not sleep on Gunbird. It is a super fun shooter from a vertical shooter from Psycho. It came out in the arcades in 1994, and this is from the developer of one of my favorite Dreamcast games, Cannon Spike. And also, they developed Strikers 1945 Plus, which is also available on the Switch eShop. Another super fun vertical shooter. This is like a great version of this game. It is definitely a very challenging game, not quite bullet hell, but definitely challenging. But there are a lot of difficulty options, so you can bring the difficulty down, and you can also have like 99 lives and unlimited continues and all of that. It looks and runs great on the Switch, and it is only $8. So I highly, highly recommend checking out Gunbird on the Switch eShop. And I guess with that is our episode.
yeah.
Like I said, it's a very special episode.
It was a doozy. There's a lot to talk about, just because there's so much going on with Switch right now. And yeah, my focus next week is probably not going to be on Nintendo stuff for a week or so. So it's good to dive into as much of it as we can this weekend, because next weekend we're going to be in the movie theater probably for most of the
Yeah,
time.
going to the movie theater a lot
Yeah.
next weekend.
Although the great thing about Switch is that it's easy to bring it with, right? So,
Yeah. Don't
when
play
I
your Switch during
oh no,
Last Jedi though.
no, but when I go to like the 11 a.m. showing of Last Jedi, and then I go to like a 5 p.m. showing, and there's not really enough time for it to make sense to leave the theater, like you can hang out and play Switch in between. So,
Nice,
yeah,
nice. All right. Well, yeah. If you want to contact us, you can email us Nintendo Fun Club Podcast at gmail.com. Check out our blog with the show notes and links to videos and like things we write and stuff over at nintendofunclubpodcast.com. You can find me on Twitter after I have seen The Last Jedi in theaters at Brawn Dwarf, BRAWNDWARF. And John, where can people find you?
Same for me at Arcade Ghost. And I guess we haven't really explained this, but it's been written on our like little cards here all episode. We're off Twitter because we don't want to get spoiled. Like we don't want to like be on Twitter and see stuff about the movie that we don't want to know until we see it. So yeah, but as of next Friday, I'll be back on Twitter at Arcade Ghost.
Yep. Probably dropping a lot of hot takes.
Hot takes
on The Last Jedi. So thank you a ton for tuning in as always, and we will catch you next time. Goodbye.
See ya.